It's amazing, right? So much technology.
And
this is what we have to do.
Retarded.
This is what we have to do. But yeah, this is what. By the way, this is what shows to the public, so they can only hear us.
Audio.
Yeah, basically.
Well, that's what a podcast is, right? Just audio.
And that is true too. Yeah. So I guess we're fooling people. Yeah, we are live. We are live.
Well, you didn't know that.
Sorry.
Good thing you waited till we're live before clearing your throat like that. It would have been sad to miss that.
True. Tech issues. This was really cheap too, by the way. Good morning, Phuket. But I am in Bangkok, so good morning, Bangkok, right? So we have a fantastic guest today. He is probably one of the smartest people to ever have honored us with his or her presence. This is a him. This is Mr. David S. Wills.
Thank you for that. Right.
That was kind of anticlimactic, wasn't it? But yeah, so there are a bunch of things to discuss today. Personally, I know Mr. David S. Wills. I'm not doing the full name every time. I first
Don't call me Mister.
that. So I have had the honor of being David's friend for a while now, and he still doesn't give me the address to his house, which is a shame. But other than that, he's a good friend. He's a heavy drinker. I'm joking, but it's a good time whenever he's around.
It's not a lie.
It's okay, cool. I was trying to save you professionally. But yeah, so we're gonna be talking about his new book called.
I don't remember.
Okay,
Highlight Notes: The Rise and Fall of Gonzo Journalism.
Basically, and David is part of the Beat Generation, but that's something that will be confirmed during this podcast as well. So I hope you guys enjoy it, and we shall start now. David, talk about yourself. No, tell us, like, on a professional level what you have done. Like, I did some research on you, and it obviously I was pleasantly surprised. And like, I just don't want to get anything wrong, so could you tell people about yourself as well?
Sure. Yeah, I'm the editor of Beatdom Literary Journal, which is all about the Beat Generation, and the author of 2 books about the Beat Generation and 1 book about Hunter S. Thompson, the creator of Gonzo Journalism.
Thank you. I did some research on Beatdom, your website, and, like, you've been an editor-in-chief for that for, like, how long now? Since 2007, if I'm right.
Yeah, this week
Accurate.
would be the 15th anniversary
Oh, really?
creation. I had not realized that until now. Yeah.
Congratulations. Are you gonna celebrate in some way or the other?
I'll probably forget again when I leave here.
We will remind you some way or the other. So just so you know, we can celebrate together virtually, right? We're both traveling in the next week, this week actually. So we'll remind you. Could you talk about, like, this is kind of a weird question maybe, but people talk about inspirations and stuff, and my question was, like, could we go back to the child you were at some point, and was there anything growing up that actually inspired you to do to be a writer, be an author, or just something that just came up?
So my desire to be a writer predates my memory. So I don't know why I chose this god awful life path.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, some of my first memories I had already decided that's what I wanted to do. So it must go back to very early childhood. It probably is related to the fact that I was just constantly reading absolutely everything as a kid. I was obsessed with books, and still am today.
Okay, what kind of books do you read?
Now?
Yeah.
Now a lot of Japanese literature, translated into English. But read almost anything.
Mm-hmm.
Big fan of obviously the beat literature and literature of the 1960s and 70s.
Mm-hmm. And what part of the beat literature excites you? Since, like I mentioned before, that you have, well, your website is beatdem.com,
Yeah.
so there's that, right? What interests you about beat, the genre?
I guess I'm more interested in their life and their role in history and culture than I am in their work, because I've spent so long reading and studying their work that it's more of a job than a pleasure. But reading about their lives, I still find quite fascinating and inspiring. I find it very interesting seeing these people who just changed everything about our world
Mm-hmm.
in the 1940s and 50s onwards, who were utterly rebellious against the dominant culture of their day and fearless in their pursuit of their artistic goals and their desire to live life on their own terms. And the fact that they somehow kind of achieved that and gained a degree of respectability within our culture.
Mm-hmm. And like, do you see yourself in that manner as well? Like somebody who lives away from the norms of the general population?
I guess I'd never thought about it that way, but I do kind of live this slightly unusual life.
Mm-hmm.
I live in a small house in the Cambodian countryside, and don't really have a conventional job, and I'm a writer and editor and publisher. So, but yeah, I don't really have this sort of wild, rebellious lifestyle of the Beat Generations, and more quiet and introverted and nerdy.
That is so. So when I was doing my research on the Beat Generation in the 40s and 50s, it's like people started talking about them in a way that, like, they are the only ones who are living life. There's nobody who does it like them, or nobody who's really done it, before them, and they were mentioned as like the hippie generation of of that time. What do you have that thought as well, or do you disagree?
The hippie morphed out of the Beat Generation. So the hippies came around about 1963 onwards, and they were very much inspired by Jack Kerouac and Allen Ginsberg of the Beat Generation. So the Beats were doing their thing in the mid 40s and writing about it in the 50s, and the hippies came about in the 60s. Then we have punk movements and other countercultures. I think they all owe a huge debt to the Beat Generation as sort of cultural and artistic trailblazers.
Are there any musicians you listen to actively that were inspired by this generation as well?
All of them. All of them.
All of them. Okay.
Yeah.
Why do you say all though?
When you get into the connections between the Beat Generation and music, you do find that either they were directly inspired or they were inspired by someone who was inspired. So to go back to like Bob Dylan, the Rolling Stones, David Bowie, like the most important musicians of the 60s and 70s and 80s were big fans of the Beat Generation and even worked with them. Allen Ginsberg, he worked with like the Clash to record songs. William Burroughs, he collaborated with Paul McCartney and with Kurt Cobain. The links between rock music in particular, punk music, and the Beat Generation, pretty substantial. There's a good book by Casey Ray recommend people read about William Burroughs and his influence on music.
That was. I'm not a reader, but everybody knows.
Good thing we're talking about literature then, huh?
No, but that is something to look into, or at least read a summary of. At least a summary of would be nice.
Get the Cliff Notes.
There you go. I don't know if they still exist, by the way, the Cliff Notes.
Yeah, we'll have to look that up.
Yeah.
I'm sure they do. There's probably a website.
Fair enough. Always a website for something or the other. What inspired you in your family or friends or teachers? I know this is related to what I asked you before, like when you were a kid and something, but was there any one or two figures in your life that led you this way?
I mean, my parents definitely encouraged me to read when I was younger, and they were definitely giving me a lot of books and whatnot. Then when I was going into university, I had a few good professors there who were kind of pushing me towards that sort of period of literature and showing postmodernist literature, countercultural literature. They definitely guided me in that particular direction.
Okay.
I don't know exactly when the Beat Generation kind of came into my life. Probably a friend, I think, he introduced me to both Hunter Thompson and Jack Kerouac by giving me On the Road, Fear and Loathing Las Vegas. Probably around my third year in university.
Interesting. Where did you go to the university? Oh,
Dundee.
Dundee, and what did you master in? I know you have a master's in something.
Literature, American literature.
Okay. Why specifically American literature when you were born and coming in a different country?
You like what you like, there's
True.
there wasn't a conscious decision necessarily, it was just the thing that became most interesting. Perhaps it's more accessible, maybe?
That's what I was gonna ask about, because watching a few documentaries and stuff, so I learned about the Beat Generation in general. They all mention American, writers, American, figures.
Yeah.
And it seems like it would have been more accessible. It would have been more amped up, to the public, and in different parts of the world, I guess.
That part of literature as well is also very interesting because it's a point in history where everything started to move faster and faster.
Yeah.
There's also this sort of cultural and technological snowball effect after World War II. When throughout history, everything's just been changing slowly but speeding up, and then at that point, just radically starts developing to the point where we are now, where we change our philosophies and our ideas and our social mores and morals every 6 months at most. It's hard to keep up. That kind of, I feel that sort of began or became most pronounced around the parties to our 50s.
What kind of comparison could you give to, like you just said, changes every 6 months? Could you give an example?
Looking at so the political divisions in society, there's new sort of ideas that people are coming out with that make the ideas we had 6 months or a year or 5 years ago look quite outdated or even offensive. Developments in identity politics and whatnot.
True.
And so that you could tweet something in 2016 and 2022, suddenly you're going, oh my god, what did I say back then? But it wasn't wrong at the time according to the dominant social views.
Yeah.
I think it's quite unusual that we've come to a point that things change so fast.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I mean, we could go on and on about it. I think
we should.
But we should or
politics.
shouldn't. Exactly, that's something we
Let's
agreed
go back
on.
to literature. The politics of the 50s, that's easy.
Fair enough. No, those are good answers, man. I mean, it is. Interestingly, I told you about how as a kid I used to love writing stories, and essays with a different meaning in my part of the world.
Story about your electric guitar.
Basically that. Let's not talk about that. Normages. No, but it's I always used to get the highest grades in English and literature, but I guess I just never, pursued it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I would have been a writer at this point.
Oh, you definitely would have.
Would have, right?
Yeah.
That is. Thank you.
You'd be a bestseller. So.
On Amazon, which, by the way, comes to my next point. Good transition, or segue. What's the correct term?
Let's go with transition.
Transition. A good transition / segue to the high white notes, the rise and fall of gonzo journalism. Would you like to tell us a bit about that? And we're going to send out the summary link to other people as well, and
Sure.
a link to your book.
Yeah, so this is a book about Hunter S. Thompson, the gonzo writer, author of Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
This is the first major study of his work. There have been several biographies before,
Mhm.
and these are all pretty great in their own way.
Mm-hmm.
But nobody had looked purely at his writing and explored how did he develop his really bizarre style of writing and what that meant, what it was, what its purpose was, how it evolved over the years. I decided I wanted to do that. I decided I wanted to write this book in about 2006 or 2007, not long
Mhm.
after he killed himself in 2005. But at the time, I didn't have the knowledge, the expertise, the resources,
Mm-hmm.
and so it took years and years before I kind of developed that and wrote this book, and that came out almost exactly 6 months ago.
Cool. And I mean, how much money have you made? I'm joking. How many books have been sold?
I also don't know that.
You don't know that.
It sold a hell of a lot more than I thought it would. So
That's a good thing, isn't it?
Oh, that's a very good thing. That's
Oh.
nice. Yeah.
What was bizarre about his writing style? For those of us who don't know, me, and maybe
Yeah.
5 other people.
It was very aggressive and shocking and mixed reality and fiction. So he was a journalist. So you kind of hope journalists are going to be reporting facts.
Yeah.
He believed there was no such thing as objective journalism,
Mm-hmm.
so he just came out and said I'll be as subjective as possible. And he was using satire in such a way that it would be incorporated into his reports as an
Yes.
outrageous sort of fantasy. There's a lot of descriptions of drug use,
Mhm.
a lot of violence that never happened, and the reader was left to decide what is real and what isn't. I guess the purpose, or one of the main purposes, was to make the reader always be questioning what they're hearing instead of just turning on the TV and saying, "Oh, this happened." He was writing at a time when it was pretty normal that politicians would churn out a press release
Mm-hmm.
and journalists would just report that,
Yeah.
which he loathed. The likes of Richard Nixon, who he considered his nemesis, had such good PR people that he could be a very awful person and still appear good in front of
Yeah.
the public. And Thompson was looking for a way to expose that. And with all the creativity of the 1960s, he was very inspired by that, and part of that in creating this, what eventually in 1970 became gonzo journalism, this form of writing that no one else did and no one else can do. It was his own brand. He was very good at branding.
Why is it that you can't do that? And I have another point B with this, that like we're talking about, very recently it's been like fake news and things that are being made up and shit. And
Yeah.
sorry, I don't think we can escape politics, especially if
No,
we're
no,
talking
no.
about gonzo journalism.
This
at
is
the
very
moment.
relevant. And
Yeah.
he was a political journalist.
There you go. And that's my question, like, when it comes to this whole thing of fake news and stuff. So it was very obvious, and correct me if I'm wrong because this is a question, like, was it obvious that he was using satire?
He thought it was obvious.
Other people did
didn't
not.
know.
Okay. And so he was sorry,
he was quite mischievous in that way.
Okay.
I think he was having fun a lot of the time, but he hoped people would know or assumed people would know. Examples being in the 1972 presidential campaign, he started a rumor that one of the candidates was taking this rare African drug and reported it as its fact, but he's very subtly like worded it in a way. Yeah, there's a rumor. It's like, well, he started the rumor.
Yeah.
If you read carefully, it should be obvious. He said he was very shocked that people believed any of that. It is, I think, telling that people are
cheap.
Yeah.
Lack of a more sophisticated
It's
term.
interesting that you brought up fake news there, because there's definitely a link, and I've wanted to write about that for a while.
Yeah.
And I have. It's not published yet, but I do wonder to what extent his satire kind of led the way towards, and his endorsement of total subjectivity led towards later fake news. Because he was hoping, I'll put my biases out there, and you can make up your own choices. But how is that really different from the likes of what you see supposed journalists doing today?
True. I mean, when I see, obviously I have to read his work, but to compare it to, what's been happening most recently, when you talk about press releases and stuff, there are, alternative facts. That was a term for a couple of years, and I think still is, making the rounds, and
your own truth and all that.
Exactly. But the difference from what I've read here and what I've, seen more recently, it seems like that was satire, whether obvious or not, but it was something that he knew. It was a tongue-in-cheek situation, but he still knew that he was throwing it out there. And recently, it's not done that way. Because recently now, it's like stated as a fact, and if somebody questions it, they go like, no, it is a fact, and you are the one who's wrong or misunderstanding.
But I mean, okay, so one of his defenses of his style of journalism is he would say, I know something, but I can't necessarily prove it. Like, Richard Nixon's a bad guy, but his press team make him look so good that it's impossible to prove until Watergate, the things he was doing. So I'll depict him as a snarling werewolf who breaks out the White House in the middle of the night and lumbers down the street. His idea was, I'm showing them as they really are by showing them how they're not. Like, altering reality, using fantasy to kind of show the underbelly, the hidden side of these people. And I think you do get that nowadays, and it is, again, it comes down to, if you believe something really is a certain way, you present it like that, and in your mind you're reflecting the truth, but someone else is going to see it very differently.
You're saying that people tend to just believe exactly what they read without thinking about.
I think we just find sources that back up our prejudices.
Sure. I agree.
People shop for news nowadays.
Yeah. Do you have any prejudices you want to talk about?
Loads of them, but I don't want to talk about it.
Okay, no, that's really interesting. When you mention I mentioned alternative facts and stuff. It's so obviously the beat goes on, for the lack of not being able to sound corny, but it is something that is going and going and going. And where do you see it actually? Do you see it ending anywhere, or just evolving like it has over the past over 60 years?
You mean the Beat Generation?
Yeah.
Well, so defining the Beat Generation is a very difficult thing.
I have a YouTube video that explains it all in 2 minutes.
I bet I didn't agree with it. You should have read my article on what the Beat Generation is. So.
No, go ahead, please.
So, I mean,
Fix this
for
camera.
you've got the two parts of the word. You're kind of defining what beat is, and then you're looking at generation. I think what most people think of the beat generation is not a generation at all. I think there's distinct generations. And you referred earlier, you kind of said I'm part of the beat generation. I would disagree with that.
No, I think I asked. Or
I think you said so. I think
sorry.
you said.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I study the beat generation. I'm
Okay.
a scholar of the beat generation.
Okay.
I would say it's ended. A lot of people disagree. There are other people that are in my field that study it that completely disagree with me and think it's this ongoing thing. In which case, I would say, well, we have to change generation. A generation doesn't go on for years, does it? But I mean, I think already by the '60s it ceased to be the beat generation. It was something. These people were socially active in the '40s. They were writing about it in the '50s, and by the '60s it had transitioned into a new generation. I think there's this temptation to expand out the definition of it to include everyone else that we like, all these other countercultural figures. People want to lump Hunter Thompson into the beat generation. Clearly not. I mean, he spent a year in New York in 1958 as sort of on the sidelines of the late sort of beatnik culture, but he was never part of the beat generation, nor was Charles Bukowski or anyone else that we try and force in for convenience's sake. But, you know, defining a literary or cultural or philosophical movement does tend to be very difficult. And it does come to a lot of disagreements. What is postmodernism, for example? But these are hard things to define, and it's often done just for the sake of convenience.
Sure. But I might have made a mistake in this situation where I'm asking about the beat generation, whereas I should be asking about the beat movement, right? And do you think there's a difference between? I mean, yeah, there's obviously a difference between the two. One is tangible, the other one's not.
Yeah.
One is dead, the other one is technically alive.
Again, I don't know. I do think.
Go for it.
I do think these things come to an end, though. I think.
Yeah.
And yet, there's still people today painting and writing, and they'll say they're part of the beat movement or the neo beat movement, or they're whatever. I think to say you're inspired by the beat generation and you're doing your own thing.
Yeah.
Why continue something or resurrect something from so long ago that had a very definite point in time? These people were writing at a certain era in response to certain political and social phenomena.
Yeah.
Today, we're living in a completely different world with different values, and as we discussed, values that are changing almost every minute.
Yeah.
It needs a new culture, a new art, a new response to it that could very definitely be inspired by the beat generation, but is not the same thing.
You would really not agree with that 2-minute video about
Sounds terrible. I don't even want to see it. I think you should give it a downvote.
No, don't you know that? On YouTube now you can't do downvotes because we're stupid.
I'm out of touch.
You can't, you can do a dislike, I think, but you can't, wait, that's the video, by the way. Yeah, you can give a dislike, but you cannot count the number of dislikes.
You can still give the dislike.
Yeah.
We can't.
But maybe we can watch it later. And
we should make our own one. We should put these people out of business. What do they have? Almost 1,000 upvotes. Yeah, we could beat them.
Yeah, we could beat them. Do you feel, apart from you, of course, do you feel that there could be somebody else who resurrects the beat movement in a way that that we go back to the old values that might have been that might be more appreciated at a time like this?
No.
Sorry?
No, I don't see it happening. No. I think things change; they don't go backwards. They move forwards in various unpredictable ways. I think we're going back to the 1950s for better or worse. Mostly for worse. It was a pretty racist and sexist time.
Yes.
Another one of the topics that and everything else.
True.
We don't want to go back to those values. We definitely admire their art and pick, like all societies do, pick the best things from the past and kind of bring that. But you have to create something new with it.
Okay.
And there's been so much since then that's based upon it. Like we were talking about music. I mean, the greatest musicians of the last century, or the second half of the last century, were very beat inspired.
Mm-hmm.
So we get this sort of second-hand influence of the beats through them as well.
Got it. Thank you. You've, I read this. Maybe I should just pull this out because I can't find it. Well, it says you live in rural Cambodia, but there was another one that I read, which, about the author section, which mentioned you in a really interesting light.
Did I write it myself?
I don't know.
Don't trust it. It's lies.
It talks about how you have done farming in one country and a marathon in North Korea. That's something that really, did not inspire me. It did shock me a bit. And I'll probably be cancelled for this. I don't really personally have anything against North Korea. Like, they haven't done anything to me. Personally, I just know that how, bad they have been.
Yeah, it's an interesting country to go to, but I don't think there's any questioning the human rights atrocities that they routinely commit.
That's not a laughing matter, is it?
That's the government of the country. It's not the people, and it's not the culture. So.
True, and that it brings me to the next question. Like, you've lived an interesting life, and I mean, you're not dying today, but.
But other stuff to do,
Exactly.
Gotta go see my cat tomorrow.
Yeah, I have to see your cat tomorrow. But have you ever thought of compiling all of your travel stories, the ones that can be legally talked about, into a book or something? Guess it's an autobiography thing, right?
Yeah.
But it's kind of narcissistic, in my opinion,
Very,
sometimes.
yeah.
But the angle that I would like to read, or audiobook would be nice, just an idea for you, would be, like all of your travels, whatever you have done in the past up till now, and maybe you could make volumes of it in the future, and do it now before, like, you're 80 years of age and you have to hire other people to do it for you.
I have a really, really bad memory. Shockingly
That does
bad.
not work at all for this.
And I have this weird sort of habit of every year I'll keep travel journals.
Mm-hmm.
And every year I burn them. There's not really any sort of grand theory behind that. I don't know exactly why.
You burn them?
Yeah.
How many pages is this every year?
I don't know. Depends what I'm doing that year. There's not been much traveling for the last 2 years.
That is true.
But I'll burn them or compost them sometimes. More environmentally friendly destruction.
Yeah.
So I don't remember the ins and outs of the travels that well. I used to blog about travel, and I have written a travel book. I traveled around India, and I wrote a short book, and I self-published that. That was the only time I really did anything like that.
Why didn't you go to Pakistan? What's your problem with Pakistan?
I was in the south of India.
Okay.
It's really far away from Pakistan,
Okay.
It's like a massive part of the world. But I will come to Pakistan one day.
Fair enough.
Even though you've warned me against it on numerous occasions.
But hey, again, this is what you said. People are nice. Governments are shitty. For me,
Exactly.
I personally have a lot of issues with the people as well. But for that, I say, at least the place is nice and the food is amazing.
Some of the nicest places I've ever been in my life: North Korea, Myanmar, Zimbabwe. And those are the shittiest governments in the world.
Yeah.
And the people are lovely. The food, okay, not in North Korea, obviously. Like the culture, the landscapes, various aspects of the country were just wonderful. But governments are awful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't intend to write an autobiography for the narcissism point that you made there, and for the poor memory part. It has crossed my mind. I like photography, and I had kind of thought of putting together a book of photographs and then just having a very, very short written description.
That would be a good idea. I've seen your photos. They're nice. They're really, really nice.
Thank you. I like photography a lot. It's like meditation.
Yeah.
It's the only thing I ever do that shuts my brain off.
Okay.
And I would like a little description underneath, but I'm not gonna write. I'll write 600 pages about Howard Thompson's life. I'm not gonna write 600 pages about my own. It's probably not as interesting as it sounds, just when you excerpt the best bits.
Here's an idea. Each photograph could have like part of Hunter Thompson's quotes or something, like something that connects the two. Just an idea. I mean, I would be happy to accept royalties on that idea if that ever comes about. But yeah, that's I don't know.
I hate quotations. I have this irrational hatred of quotations. I don't know. It robs it of all context, right?
You know, you're gonna be quoted on like the thumbnail.
I hate quotations.
Yeah, we can just add that to it. Okay, fair enough. I mean, yeah, I guess people could just Facebook friend you if they really want to see where you travel. We can publicize that as something. Is there anything you would like to add to this? Because I mean, well, you answer questions very well, and
really?
you discuss things to the point. So it's just been 36 minutes in.
Oh, sorry. Okay, kicked out.
No,
the door is right here.
I know. It is a small place at the end of the day. That's not my choice to place the guest here at the door. But no, do you have any thoughts on? I'm not going to say beat generation anymore, about the evolution of certain movements from the past and where you see literature of this style or the writing of this style moving forward.
No, I don't know where it will go, and I'm not hugely interested in Western literature anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I think with postmodernism, which was very much advanced by the Beats, like of William Burroughs writing a novel that was not a novel,
Mm-hmm.
defying the rules, you kind of come. I think you come to an end point in where do you go from there. Mix that with the sort of the related element of tearing down all your heroes and criticizing them to the point that everyone great suddenly seems like a monster
Mm-hmm.
because they have human flaws. I think we're at the very end of the road, and I could be completely wrong, and maybe we branch off into something new. What interests me more is literature from other parts of the world, which I think has not gone down that particular rabbit hole that North American and European literature has done. As I mentioned earlier, I'm very interested in Japanese literature.
Mm. And Japanese literature is something you picked up recently?
No. Although I've started to become more interested in it recently,
Okay.
but I've been interested for 10 or 20 years.
Okay.
I like their ideas and ways that the authors express things. There's a lot of... In January, I only read like Japanese women authors for a month just to get this completely different perspective on life.
Mm-hmm.
There's some really incredible young authors at the moment, whereas I don't look around the West and see these books written in English that are the same. I don't find it as exciting.
Got it. What's the genre of this literature, the Japanese one?
Genre? I don't know. It gets lumped in as magical realism or something.
Okay.
I again don't like labels. I think it's restrictive.
Mm.
And, I like the... Yeah, I guess it would be magical realism. A realist sort of novel with these bizarre flights of fancy and these sudden turns into oddness. There's a book I read recently by Sayaka Murata, Earthlings. It's just so disturbing and weird and unpredictable. Really, really great stuff.
I will not read that, but I will. I'm joking.
There's probably an audiobook. It's only 99 pence on Kindle. Come
Fair.
on, so
I
you can afford that.
I'll start looking into it. Yeah, I need to have more authors on these podcasts. Anyway,
That's 30 baht.
Yeah, that's true. There's an interesting question, or at least you'll be the judge of if it's interesting or not.
Is it about TikTok?
No, it's not. Actually, not yet. I accidentally skipped that. No, while you were talking about a magical literature in Japanese culture right now, and when you talked about how Hunter used to mix in um, facts with satire and make them into werewolves or something like
Yeah.
that. Do you think there's a weird connection of those two literatures coming together in your brain? Good question.
They're definitely, yeah. What an interview. When I was reading the book I mentioned, I guess I didn't think about Thompson. I did think about Burroughs, because it was more about one thing morphing into another. But there's so many influences. Hunter Thompson was not the only person doing that. And I think, I don't know how interested the Japanese are in Hunter Thompson, but I know the Beat generation is very big in Japan, or was at some point. And I know there are various Japanese writers who were very influenced by these writers, so there could well be some connection.
Got it. Thank you. TikTok.
I knew it.
Welcome to social media, people.
Always with TikTok.
No, so just a background story here. And David, when he recently came to Bangkok, I introduced him to TikTok, and he did not know what it was at all.
I'd heard of it.
Okay. What did you hear about it?
It's the devil.
The devil.
Chinese spyware.
See, we can't talk religious either. Like, what are you doing, dude? No
The
politics.
metaphorical sort of figurative devil.
I'm joking. So the explanation, the summary here is that I showed him how to make a TikTok from start to finish. I'll probably publish it at some point when he pisses me off, because it features him with a cute Thai song, I think, and some weird editing techniques I learned as well. But it interests me on how a person who writes with a pen and paper, or typing on a laptop.
Pen and paper. What is this?
No, I mean it's
not the
different.
1950s though. Even
True.
they had typewriters, man.
Yeah, that is true. Do you use typewriters?
I have a laptop. It's
That's
the
what
21st century.
That's what I was asking right now. So, I mean, basically, the mediums are completely different.
Gotcha.
Damn it, you make me look stupid, man. It's the cat and care. The one is a medium of music and video and character building of yourself and other people. One is just writing about certain things and not visualizations through text, right? So my question is that, and I thought of this before you came in today. What if you use something like TikTok as an author for reading a few lines from your books to maybe educate the TikTok generation about certain things? Because I've shown you doctors, I've shown you music artists and stuff on TikTok, right?
Yeah.
And what do you think about that? Like, do you think that would be? I think it would be openly accepted. I just don't know if it would,
Could definitely be done, yeah.
hit it.
I mean,
to a
like I
crazy
said,
level.
I don't like quotations, I don't like memes, I don't like tweets, I don't like the reductiveness of the short form
Yeah.
ization of everything.
Yeah.
The fact that people don't want to watch an hour-long video or read a book for 12 hours, it's just got to squeeze everything down into smaller and smaller parts. It could be done well, I suppose, but you've got this bullshit 2-minute video of the Beat generation. It's like everyone just wants to make it as simple as possible, but what happens when you do that is you strip away all the nuance and you just make it reductive. And again, that plays into the fake news and disinformation. It's like propaganda by omission, basically. We're going to leave out this and leave out. So could you make a TikTok channel? Is that the right word?
Yeah.
For
I
books,
think
you could.
I'm too old for it as well, but I
Okay,
think.
You probably could, and it probably could be valuable.
Yeah.
I have no interest in getting into it myself. I would personally be more inclined to have a YouTube channel doing like a 20-minute video, you know, discussing a part of the book or something like that.
Okay.
Because at least in 20 minutes you can kind of, you're not going to cover everything, but you can build it out to have it being honest and not so reductive.
You got it. I mean, it could help in book sales. Just saying.
I don't need anything. I'm a bestseller, man.
That is true. So coming back to that, we have a bestseller author of Amazon. On Amazon? In Amazon.
In one or several smaller categories.
Yes.
Yeah, so big asterisks there.
By this book, it's about the rise and fall of the gonzo journalism by Hunter S. Thompson. I got it right. Yes. See, I'm learning stuff already.
Yeah. Middle initials. Also wrote one about William S. Burroughs. You see the connection there?
You are David S. Wells.
Yeah.
Wills.
It's all coming together. Not Willis. No.
I know, not Willis. Wills.
You learned 2 things today.
Your correct name.
Yeah.
And other things, yes. So how do people get in touch with you if they want to reach out to you, you know, your fan following?
Firstly, don't.
How can they follow your work is my serious question. How do they follow your work?
Yeah, I'm on the Google. I can be Googled unless you're like Zoe and you spell my name incorrectly. Then
yes.
you could probably find me there.
Yes.
I have a website. It's myname.com. Everything's on there.
Okay.
If you get it right, the spelling.
Fair enough.
Unlike Zoe. WILLS.com.
WILLS. See, I heard Willis again. Just change the name, dude. Change the name. I'm kidding. You have to.
I'll buy 2 domains. It's only
$9
a month or something.
Fair enough. Well, that was it. Do you like sweets? I want to introduce to you a Pakistani dessert. It's not poisoned.
I do have a bit of a sugar addiction, so I rarely eat it because I don't stop. But yeah.
Then you can just finish the whole bag.
I'm always up for new sugary things.
Monitor's acting funny. I don't know why. But the camera's still on. So since today is Eid.
Oh yeah. So it is.
Should we? Yeah, it's a bag, right?
I can eat it out of a bag. That's fine.
No, let me be nice. Let me get it properly. Until then, you can talk to the camera about how awkward you feel right now.
This is like a brilliantly planned interview, though.
Sorry.
All the best interviewers just get up and go off to their kitchen for 5 minutes in the middle of an interview, leaving the interviewee to
hey, this is
ask
a
himself
one-person
further
production.
questions.
This is a one-person production, so don't get on my ass about it. So Eid, there are 2 Eids for Muslims in Islam, right? You know Muslims.
I've heard of them.
Yeah. So one is the Khati Eid, which is the sour Eid, where you cut up animals. And you eat the animals, right? The other one is meaty Eid. Meaty is sweet, so this is the sweet Eid, which is today, and this is jalebi. So interestingly, I was called Zabi Jalebi as a child because I was obsessed with it, and a friend's friend, found it here, and I haven't eaten this for like 4 years or something.
And you've managed to hold off till this point?
Yes, because it was late last night. So I just wanted to treat you to this, and you can be honest about it. Like I said, you can spit it out, just not on the carpet.
It's a nice carpet.
Or the equipment. Yeah.
All right.
Carpet's not mine. So yeah, I mean, just that. Might get your ratings up as well. So normally these are hot.
Very sweet.
Very sweet.
Pure sugar.
Pure sugar syrup is dipped into sugar syrup, and then you eat it. So, what are your thoughts on jalebi?
I like it. I can already feel my heart rate increasing as the sugar courses through my veins.
Mm-hmm.
That's the sweetest thing I've eaten in years.
Yeah. Same here.
What's the flavoring? Is it
I think it's sugar cane syrup.
just sugar cane syrup?
Mm.
What gives it its
It's-
coloring? 'Cause that's really bright orange.
This has been brighter. I don't know what gives it its coloring.
Way
To
more.
be honest. See, that's the thing is, it gives you a crazy rush, and you don't. No, there's
It's
a
mine now.
there's a full bag. That's why. But white people normally like Paki, and oh, you can't say Paki. You can't say Paki. I can say Paki.
You've said it enough for both of us now. That was like 3 times.
But yeah, that was it.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I like that.
Cool. Thank you. Well, Mr. David, thank you so much for coming. This was fantastic. And anybody who's watching till now, if you are, we
That's
appreciate your
optimistic.
time. Sorry?
That's optimistic.
Yeah. I know Adam's gonna watch because he's a fan girl of yours.
You better give us some likes
Yeah, he better. The mother. Yeah. Okay.
and a comment.
And a what?
Comment.
Comment.
Give
Okay,
the
yeah.
interactions.
Sorry, your Scottish accent is
This is one thing
confusing.
I've never been accused of, is having a too strong Scottish accent.
Yeah. Well, this was wonderful. Thank you everybody for watching, and thank you David for giving this time. You're literally leaving the country in 24 hours. And I know for a fact we've been trying to do this for the past 8 months, I think, based on our conversations on
I had
Messenger.
to wait for my restraining order against you to expire. So
That
now it
and-
has, and I'll bring it back in 24 hours.
fair enough. And yeah, I'll list down your socials on LinkedIn or well, wait no,
LinkedIn.
written it down yourself on.
Really?
Yeah, you have.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I feel so
So
old and responsible.
so he's an introvert, obviously.
Don't
so-
tell the Zoomers I have LinkedIn. Do they even know what LinkedIn is?
Probably not, but they don't need it. Their resume is on TikTok.
Ah, yeah. That's smart.
Exactly.
Is Snapchat still a thing?
Apparently, but I don't know how you could use it. I can use Instagram now to communicate with people.
Yeah, I'm on
There's
Instagram,
that.
man. I'm on
Yeah?
Instagram.
Oh, you are.
Yeah.
Okay.
Photograph stuff. I like that.
Mm. Fair enough. So this has been wonderful. I'm saying this a third fucking time now. This has been wonderful.
That's a 4th. One more time.
This has been wonderful.
It's a record. Somebody called Guinness.
I'll catch you guys later. Thank you, David, for coming. Bye bye, people. Come on, wave, dude. Wave.
Say it one more time.
There's a